If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
Okay, I hope you all can see my screen and I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So before we start, let us have a quick introduction from all of us. I'll start first. I spoke to some of you, but yeah, I see some new names as well. So I'm Johan. I'm SAP EWM trader at ZaranTech. I take care of all the projects and training related activities, both online as well as corporate trainings for ZaranTech. I have around 16 years of experience. The last 9 years in SAP EWM. I started in EWM 7.4 version, and then I've done projects in 9.3, 9.5, and I've also done projects in S4HANA 1709, 1909, and 2020. So most of my major implementation have been in automobile. I've also done some projects in paint as well as process industries, other process industries. So I'm into training since last 10 years. I'm certified in MMWM, EWM. Prior to EWM, I was working as an MMWM consultant. And I think that's it. I think I've covered most of the points. All right, then I'll first start, with an overview of how we are going through. Just I'll explain you how generally I take my courses, and I'll just give you a background. What are we going to cover? How are we going to cover? And so that you can also plan your practice and your personal reading and personal going through the topics, personal studies. You can plan accordingly. So basically, what we do here, you might have seen our course content. We basically go through. Okay, I hope you all are aware of what is LMS. Yeah, you have seen LMS, right? The LMS is our portal. Has anyone given you an overview about LMS?
Not overview, but there was a video recording just as an
Okay.
introduction. So I personally have. I'm not sure if others, but
Okay.
I very briefly looked at it.
This is a portal, where basically you'll find everything. So you can put your questions here, in the discussion board, and I'll answer them so that it's so that everyone is aware about the questions that are being raised offline. Okay. Then the course content is there. And you'll find my introduction. Then materials, all the documents are uploaded here. So you can see some of the documents. Okay, almost all the documents, including, I'll explain you what documents we'll be sharing. Then all the recordings will be updated here. And then I think there's a attendance sheet which I have to update end of the meeting. And all the meeting links, they get updated here, at the start of the week. So you'll get which at the start of the week, you'll get to know how many sessions, which days, and the links will be provided. At the end of the session, we will be updating, how many hours we covered and what are the topics we covered for that day. Okay, so this keeps a complete record of how our batch is going through. So this is from, interacting and like a portal with where we store everything. And when we go through the training, basically, if you go through the course content, it's divided into 10. It's divided into 10 or 11. I'm not sure, but we'll go through the content again. Basically, modules, different modules. Okay, so each module has some topics to be covered. You can find them here. Okay, module 1, module 2. What are the topics we are going to cover? So the idea is to first go to the basics, because it will be quick because you all are from the logistics and procurement background, or have good more than 5 years experience in SAP. So just we'll understand how the org structure is mapped in EWM. With EWM, we'll talk about the different types of deployment options that we have at EWM. We'll talk about, if you're working on a project, okay, we will cover, how to integrate EWM to different other modules, or connect how to integrate EWM with ERP. But if you're working with a certain project, we will cover your scenario as well, but mostly we'll be covering the integration from an S/4HANA perspective. But sometimes people, they work on decentralized or non S4 EWM projects. We can also discuss those, and we can help you out with your integration in those projects. It's slightly different, but it's basically a different client. So client for EWM. So I will discuss some additional steps or core interface, whatever we need to integrate to a decentralized system. So org structure, deployment options, integration, that's what we'll cover in the first unit. Then we will go to the next, the within the warehouse, we have warehouse as an org structure, right? Like we have plant, store location, we'll create a warehouse. And then within the warehouse, we have the structure elements. What are the structure elements? Like storage element is within a plant, right? So same way, we have within the warehouse, we have several structure elements like storage type, section, bins, and other new elements like activity areas, which are not there in WM. We'll discuss them. Then basically, before we start going through the process, we'll cover, all the master data. Uh, Master data like product and packaging specification will go in more detail, but there'll be master data like uh, routes or production supply area, which will come, as we go through the process, but we'll introduce or list all the master data here. We'll also talk about, data migration. What are the points to be considered, templates, tools to be used in EWM projects for migrating data. Okay. Then we have, so first 3 units are basically, they set the groundwork before we start the processes. The third unit talks about the resources, how we manage the queues, how we set up the RF, how we integrate the RF, what is RF framework, how do you do enhancements on RF. So all the functional activities, you can change menus, you can, how you write an FS for a RF change, all those things we'll be discussing. Okay. Then there are some tools we'll quickly go through, S/4HANA, there is Cockpit, and then SAP has given us some more tools. Warehouse Monitor is a very important tool. So all the reporting and any kind of dashboard requirement for KPI, we will discuss those tools that are provided by SAP. Then we'll start with the processes. We'll first, so EWM, basically we have inbound, outbound as the major processes. Yeah. So first we'll cover inbound from supplier. We'll talk about the inbound integration with quality, how to do the availability group mapping, how to set up the strategies. There are concepts like slotting and rearrangement as part of inbound. So this is inbound, but we call this as a basic inbound. Okay. So in EWM, basically we have basic, and then we do the advanced. So the difference between basic and advanced is you activate some advanced functionalities here. So in S/4HANA, with S/4HANA, SAP has come up with, basic EWM and advanced EWM. So here we will be first going through the basic concepts, and then after, module 5 onwards, we'll slowly add new sub processes or new add-ons to our inbound, and then we will go through the advanced processes of EWM. Okay. Similarly, outbound, we'll go through the basic outbound strategies, waves, exception handling, patch manage, serialized parts. Uh, since at this stage, we'll be in a position to discuss inbound and outbound both, we'll also cover integration with production. Okay. There are several integration with productions. We will be focusing more on advanced production integration, which is mostly used. But yeah, we'll touch base upon the other possible production integration scenarios as well. Then we will also cover then okay, unit 6 onwards we'll cover some add-on functionalities, or same inbound outbounds can be done into several intermediate steps. So what are the different add-on functionalities like yard, how to basically you activate yard management, you activate dock appointment scheduling, how do you optimize your warehousing activities, how do you customize the new types of deliveries or new picking requirement, how do you do those things, we'll cover in warehouse order creation rule. Storage control talks about executing inbound and outbound through several intermediate steps depending on your layout or depending on the process that you're going to execute. So till here unit was all inbound and outbound, and then first basic inbound outbound and activating some advanced functionalities. Then we'll be discussing about the internal processes, internal warehouse processes. Most of these would have already been discussed as part of going through inbound outbound and the strategies, but here we'll discuss them end to end, like replenishment, ad hoc movements, how to do a transfer posting, how to do stock transfers. So we'll be going through all those uh, processes and system. Physical inventory as well, that is part of internal warehouse process. So high level, warehouse management is divided into inbound, outbound, and internal. So internal is within the warehouse, doesn't have any integration with other modules. Some integration with finance when it comes to physical inventory. Okay, but the things are fairly internal. Then we'll discuss cross topics. These are topics, I would say, advanced topics, but may not be used everywhere. But we will, okay, things like PPF will be used everywhere, but things like labor, kitting, doc, MFS may not be used everywhere, but we will be covering them. So we do have some limitation in terms of integration, like in MFS integration, how we can, it requires integration to a material flow system, basically automated tracking system. So we cannot have that integration in the test system, but we have some mock-up tools available or provided by SAP. So whatever best we can in a test system, we'll try to explore these advanced topics, which basically are integrated with some of the other external system. Okay. So this is the course content. Then, okay, I'll quickly go through the way we will be going through. Then, I'll be open for questions. So all units have, we have a slide deck which you'll be finding there on our LMS portal. Okay. For each unit, basically for each module, you will find the PPT. You'll find lab activities. So these lab activities are your take-home assignments which you have to cover. Certification questions from that unit. Okay. Okay. Sorry. My bad. So lab activities are, some additional documents that will be shared, stepwise screenshots, or like here, stepwise screenshots how to do the basic settings in EWM. Stepwise screenshots for how to create the org structure. Then you'll find dumps of that unit, and here you'll find assignment. Assignment is your take-home activity, what you need to practice as part of that unit by yourself. So we will be covering few topics, and some other topics we will be asking you. We'll touch base them, but as part of testing, we'll be asking you to cover yourself. And then what are the assessments? I don't know, assessment. Let me go through my folder. So these are all the, uh, uh, these are all the, uh, for each module, these are all the contents which we'll be sharing with you. So for each unit, we have a dedicated agenda that will cover, like, this is the agenda for the first unit. It will not be entirely PPT, so it will be mix of PPT as well as system walkthrough. So at several places, we have screenshots and PPTs. This is basically, the PPT is just basically to give us direction in what are we covering, because this is a planned course based on our experience of so many years, and just to keep things connecting and go slowly at start with all the basics, and then slowly we'll gradually cover the advanced topics. So basically we'll be using these slides, which include all our steps, um, and basically for each slide, at several slides we'll find some attachments. Okay, so these attachments may not open here, but you can, these are the attachments, basically you will find them here. Okay, because sometimes we insert them into the PPTs, but they don't open because they get corrupted when you download them. So at which slide which attachment to use, and you'll find all the stepwise screenshots there. Okay, so for example, assessment and evaluation, this is where you have your question answers, and we will also have a separate slide for the take-home assignments. Okay, so now all right, so this was about what are we going to use. Then how are we going to build the warehouse? So we will take a case study as an example. This is a warehouse layout which we are going to build right from scratch. So in this warehouse, this is a bill of material. These are the parts that we are going to build. Okay, that we are going to build in this warehouse. So basically, it's a very simple warehouse with all the integration with all the modules. It will cover inbound. We will cover as part of just let me take my highlighter. Okay, fine. So we'll cover inbound. So we will get in the parts from suppliers, store them into the rack storage, and then from the storage we'll be supplying them to production. Okay, or we can also get them to a general storage. So we have different types of storages into which we will get the parts. So this will cover the inbound aspect, how to place parts into, excuse me, different types of storage. Then from here we supply parts to production. Oops, sorry, refresh supply parts to production. So through this we'll learn how the outbound strategies work for production, and then the production parts we'll receive them into the bulk and the pallet storage. So we understand how to do inbound into the bulk and the pallet storage, and then we'll cover outbound, where we'll pick these parts from these areas. Okay, this is where the final product is getting stored, and then we will pick them, pack them, stage them, load them. We'll also have the yard management for handling the trucks. So this is the layout which we'll be referring. So these are the you know um, these are the naming conventions that we'll follow. So so we'll create a new warehouse. In this warehouse we'll create these storage types, we set up the strategies. We have some configuration in build, when we copy the warehouse we get those configuration, but there are several configurations which we need to do based on the physical nature of the warehouse and the type of warehouse, the type of processes. So we'll cover all those processes and typical configurations that we do for each of the processes. But these will be best learned when you have an example. So EWM or any warehouse management is best learned when you physically try to visualize the movements or the warehouse. So all our discussion and process scenarios will be based out of these warehouse. So if in case we decide, okay, hey Johan, let's Let's understand deconsolidation, then we will activate a process, move it to deconsolidation, then move it here. Let's understand scrapping. Why, let's create a new area for scrapping, and so we'll create a new storage type here, and we'll discuss what can be the possible scenarios with scrapping. Okay, so any addition scenarios, we'll be basically tweaking this warehouse, and we'll be adding new scenarios here. Based on our experience, we may come across scenarios. You might have come across scenarios in your projects, and we would like to go through them together. So we will use this warehouse structure basically to do some add-on processes as well. My expectation from you guys that whatever configuration we are doing for that particular week, you complete them by end of the week. You just follow me. Yeah, you can do your own exercise, but yeah, but initial couple of modules, you follow me, get your warehouse ready, structure ready, and then if at all you want to simply follow me, follow whatever the processes I'm going through. You're free to do that. You're free to use the warehouse which you have set up in the system together, or you can create your own warehouse to your own integration. I'd leave it to you, but whatever topics we'll cover, please do them, because regularly, because slowly we will be going through the complex topics. We are going to build up many new scenarios, and the backlogs will keep on accumulating. So, and basically all topics are linked to another. So if you miss, let's say, master data, I'm explaining some master data in detail. If you miss that, it may you know it may stop you with your understanding on the processes. Okay, so I'll take a pause here. I've been talking a lot, sorry. Any questions so far? Any queries, guys?
So Johan, it's looked pretty very good. But just a quick question on two things on the sequence of storage control and the PPF, because when we will be doing inbound and outbound, right? So yes, the first one we can do the manually, we can create the warehouse task and all the manually, right? But then the automation come in picture. Now the PPF, if we keep that PPF at the bottom, then the link, that's what I was thinking. And same thing for the storage control. Yes, I do agree. We can have the first, when we execute, we can do the manual put away. But after that, in the process, because those topic in your agenda, I see at the bottom, the module 8 or something like that. So is that something we can squeeze in, just to, because your storage control, yeah, it's module 8 when we have finished inbound and outbound. I think it has to go parallel to outbound and inbound. Just
I'll explain you why I have kept it here.
yeah.
So basically, storage control, process control, we need to go through unloading, loading as well, which requires some yard management activation. Okay, so the prerequisite is yard management for storage control. Plus, you activate storage control at a creation rule level. So you need this understanding also. It's not like, if I'm here and if I'm talking about creation rule, you will get lost. You need to understand the creation rule first before activating storage control, because for outbound, you activate at a creation rule level. So you need to have prior understanding of these two topics. And why I have taken inbound and outbound together in storage control, because when we activate storage control, we have for example, so it becomes easier for you from a layout perspective. When you do the inbound and outbound, we can do a mix. In inbound, we activate process as well as layout both together, and in outbound we can just do a layout, just a single through. So but the main thing here is we need yard, or at least shipping and receiving activated, so that we can do a storage control step of loading and unloading, which is very important. And plus we should also be able to have an understanding of creation rule, because that plays a very important role in the process control.
That's fine. If you think it's better, then it is okay. And one more request, so EDI, I know it's not, but will it be possible to maintain some condition record and standard generate the message after we do the post good issue of the outbound delivery with our 3PLs or some other location, just to see how it appears. Is that something possible?
Yeah.
We can do that,
It
yeah?
is possible. Yeah. The
Yeah.
ad hoc may fail because it may not
Yeah, that's
be
fine, but
relevant. But yeah,
we can
you
see the
can,
element, how it is appearing up, yeah.
you can test all the delivery outputs, no problem.
Yeah, perfect.
Coming back to PPF, why it is at the bottom? So we'll be going through the process. So every process, so PPF is not only about automating a step, but it is also about your outputs.
Yeah,
So
printing
we
and
will
everything.
be, so we will be using PPF, but at this point, till this point of time, we'll not go into PPF. We'll maintain the condition record, test and automation. Let's say good receipt in through for a production integration. We'll do that with PPF. We'll maintain the condition record, we test it, but we'll not be discussing what is action definition, action profile, because
Okay, yeah. Okay.
all those
That's
technical topics will divert us from the process.
yeah.
Okay, and they'll be covered together at the bottom along with the other outputs of SAP EWM.
Yeah, and on you covered on RFUI, the scanning, So will we cover the menu management as well as the screen control, Rohan, in this session?
Yeah,
Like in the
that's correct.
so menu management and the screen control, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. We'll be covering both of them.
Yes, thank you.
Johan, hi. Thanks for the overview. Thanks. Just a very quick from my end is very much in the logistics. So just before we start the topics, the class schedule. So I think I discussed with Chris, and because we wanted to, because of course the timing would be same, but the dates we wanted to change. And I spoke with Chris yesterday, and he said you can discuss with Johan and set it up accordingly, and he can get the setup done accordingly. So what will be convenient, because Monday, first day of the week, always difficult. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Hi, hi everyone. I shall start with the session. Let others join.
Hello. Hey, sorry.
There's someone.
Yeah. But Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, it works fine for us in UK. But I don't know if sorry, I didn't catch the name. The person from India.
Anantraj, yeah.
Ananta. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday is what same time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that out, whatever is convenient. Convenient for everyone. So we can decide any 3 days. The idea is to cover, around 6 hours. That's what, each module is planned for each week, around 6 hours. But let's see how it goes. We will, so, ideally we would want to have it for 4 days. But yeah, to start with, we can go with 3 hours, 3 sessions, 4.5 hours, and then we'll see, if it suits everyone. Then we can also extend it for another day.
So do you take a session on weekend as well? Because sometimes we may have availability, everyone can discuss and ensure the availability. So do you take the session on a weekend as well, or you keep it as a holiday?
Yeah, no, I do take sessions on weekend as well.
Yeah. So if there can be another proposal that after, once we start, maybe after first week, or if everyone is available, in the morning, so we can have anything on Saturday or Sunday, depending on everybody convenience.
Yeah, sure, we can do that as well.
So moving for the initially Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday would be good for us. And just to close off, second thing, the block access. Chris shared the new link. There was some issue with the previous link he shared, and at least I'm not authorized. So access not authorized. It's saying so I'm not able to access this link, LMS link now. So I don't know if others, but yeah.
This link, I think it got created yesterday only. So yeah, they are in process of giving everyone the access. So you should be getting it soon.
We got the email. I've got the email, but when I log into the link, it says you need permission. So I don't know if that
Yeah,
can be
this
granted by yourself.
no, it's not me. Basically, the access is controlled through Chris and his team. They will do that for you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, just before we move on, is everyone okay with Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday? You said, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Is everyone okay?
Hi, Johan. I'm here. Yeah, so I have a concern, but not about the day. I am happy with the days, but at India, no, this is the session starts at 11 o'clock, 10:30 actually. So
10:30.
that is the office timing where we start actually. So I can adjust, but is there any way that we can prepone the session maybe like an half an hour or 1 hour regularly? It will be really helpful. Is it
Okay.
still early at UK?
I think we can discuss that, but let us start first with the same time
Sure.
because we have all agreed at least to a timing part before joining this. But yeah, we'll see. Discuss with everyone.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Then if everyone is okay, then we can plan
This
for
is
change.
this.
Hi, everyone. Shiva here. Good morning.
Your request has been
Hi.
completed.
Day is okay, Ivan. Actually, the timing is a problem. Actually, see, 11 o'clock is our peak time. Morning time, lot of issues. In client issues we are facing. It's very difficult to attend the work hours actually. See, if we make it early morning or after 6 o'clock, it is okay for us.
Else you can give. If
Okay.
based on the SLA, you can
So
design.
you guys are proposing half an hour early, right?
Not half an hour actually. That 11 o'clock is time, right? So you make it before 9 or after 6. After 6 should be okay.
Okay. So we can plan that out. So we have several other batches also. So
Okay.
we can propose you for some other batch which is India early morning batch.
Okay. Early morning which or evening also okay. That's after 6. See, our timing is office timing is general 9 to 6 at time. After 6 also okay. 7 to 8. It's okay.
Sure. We can let you know about that. So please, for timing thing, please speak to Chris or the
Nancy.
coordinator.
Nancy. Okay. I
For you,
speak to Nancy.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can see there's a meeting going on there. Yeah, I can understand. So, all right. So, any other questions? Any other queries on the course content and how we are going to go through the course?
All good, my end.
Johan, Anand here. Just one query regarding the certification part. So I have gone through the certification documents. So it is like there are 4-5 documents, and there are multiple topics repeated in each document. So if let's say I'm studying parallelly with the course, is there any strategy or any suggestion that you can provide how we can parallelly study and then?
See, parallelly study, you have to go through the SAP books. We will be sharing with you some of the books, so you go to read all the SAP books, and then, for your week, particular week 1, you will have, what is certification done? You'll have, some questions for that particular unit. I would recommend you till you complete all the modules. Just limit your study only to that module and the questions related to that module. Okay. Once you have done the complete, you have completed all the modules, then you can go through the certification done for the entire course. Then other thing is there's a lot of SAP books which are provided by SAP, so you can go through those books as well. So there are certification books and some some documents provided by SAP for certification, some material. So when you go for a certification link, you get that document number, right? For EWM it is 100, 110, 120, those kind of books. So you have to go through those books also. So those books, once you've completed the course, because through this course you'll be very busy with practicing, understanding. So after the course, take 2 or 3 weeks and go through those books as well. So once you have understood those books will, they'll further refine your understanding and they'll really go fast, because now you've understood the overall concept.
Clear. Thank you.
So I'm kind of old school, I don't prefer the dumps and all. I prefer going through the books, and trust me, everything comes from the books. Okay. All right. Okay. So our first unit, let's discuss, what are we going to go through in our first unit, and then let us also plan.
Like AMS 2.0.
Yogan, sorry to interrupt. See, in our syllabus, exception handling covered, exception handling and cross dock.
Yes, we have covered exception handling as well.
We have knowledge managers.
Okay.
And cross docking as well. We have covered both of them.
The document is available. Okay. They will help you in creating the KPI.
Exception handling. Yeah, we do have exception handling.
And one more query I had, sorry, I was asking you this.
And we also have cross docking.
Suppose if we complete the service, is it mandatory to get a confirmation from the
Okay, fine.
if we are confident that
but the wave management also cover, right? Wave management.
Yes, we'll be covering wave.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
And that the POSC and LOSC all cover in the processing storage area, storage process, right?
Yes, those are covered as well.
Okay, fine. Carry on.
All right. So what are we going to cover in our first unit? First unit, our aim would be end of the unit. Our org structure should be set up, and our integration would be set up between ERP and EWM. So at the end of this unit, the warehouse should be created, should be integrated, and we should be ready to start maintaining the master data for the warehouse. Okay, so we'll understand what are the org units, their relationship, one to many, many to one, what are possible assignments, we'll discuss them. So org structure wise, we just have one org structural element here, warehouse. Okay, but physically it's a warehouse, but how do we map it? As we basically map it as ERP warehouse and EWM warehouse. How we do that mapping, we'll discuss that. Then there are a lot of settings, ALE setting, RFC setting, logistics system setting. So to integrate the warehouses, we'll discuss that, and basically the deployment type of deployment will basically the type of deployment will control which settings are required. So we'll discuss based on deployment which settings are required and which settings are not required. And then after integration, we'll do a quick test to make sure that the integration is completed. Okay, so while we are doing integration, it's not only about the technical settings. So there are, when we are going to integrate the warehouse, there will be some settings like basis settings, purely technical in terms of system integration. There will be some functional settings also. So while we are going through this unit, we'll execute some functional settings. For example, creating plant as customer or vendor, or assigning a vendor to a plant, or there are some activating delivery split for a warehouse. So basically there will be some configuration. These are the configurations that we are going to cover here are mandatory configuration and required before you start using EWM. So at this unit is not only about org structure, but as part of integration, we are also going to do some functional configuration. Okay, so we'll complete that configuration, functional configuration as well. Basis settings, they are done at the start of your project. So basically through this we'll also discuss, how we go through a journey of through an implementation project. So the first day you join a project, you do this activity, you create a warehouse, you do the integration, then you slowly set a few master datas, and then keep on uh, ex- um, executing or testing one or the other processes. So when we are executing, or when we are doing this integration, let's say you're going to into a greenfield, or greenfield is a good example to understand integration. So let's say it's a blank system. How the basis team, what are the expectations from the basis team to set up the communication between ERP and EWM? So we will be covering those settings, but we cannot execute those settings because the basis team has to do that. Plus, we are already using a test system, which is already set up in EWM. So that settings has already been done by the basis team. So we just have to go and review them. Okay, I will explain you at those relevant points. We are not supposed to change any basis settings. Okay, because they may impact the overall integration, or these are client level changes which will impact all the warehouses or people testing, the people who are testing their warehouses or their scenarios in the test system. Okay, so we need to be very careful we don't break anybody's settings. So there are few uh, we have controlled that through access, but there are few areas where you will have access. I'll explain you where you don't have to um, touch or change anything. Okay, whereas within the warehouse, functional config, plant, store location, you're free to do your own configuration. Okay, so
Just quick one on Rohan, there's a one BC set activation activity, right? So just for the information, who owned that activity? Sometime when in a greenfield you do, BC sets were not active. So it is something basis need to do it, or it's functional need to.
the basis team has to do it, but as functional, we have to identify the right BC sets. So depending on the version, the version you're working, so, and depending on the system that you've got from SAP. So SAP gives you SAP has been changing a lot on their approach on what they give to a system, to a client, when they basically hand over the sandbox system or a test system for them, or a new system for them. So there can be, you can buy a company modules, you can buy for example industry specific solution where you get build industry specific scenarios, or best practice scenarios. And then over and above, if you need something else, for example in SAP's best practice, it's labor management is not there. I'll give you an example. So then you have to find out the relevant BC sets of labor management, see if they're applicable for your version. Like if you're working on S/4HANA 1809 or decentralized EWM, you need to make sure that they are valid for you. You have to understand what it is going to activate. Do that in the quality, the development system, and after testing, then you can go through with that BC set. So yeah, just to answer your question, it has to be done by basis team activation part, but as functionals, we have to support them. We have to give them the right BC set by doing some research.
Yeah. So can you spend some 5-10 minutes when you cover this, in the
Yeah,
system?
I think we will
Thank you.
activate few BC sets as well. Okay. So org structure, you all are aware that in SAP we have org structure, company code, then we have plants within the company code, and within the plants we have store location. As all of you are from logistics and procurement background, you might be knowing the org structure till store location. Okay, now now we have story locations. Okay, within story location we have warehouse. Okay, so basically when we use warehouse management, the story location is still there. Okay, so if you don't use warehouse management, somebody asks you where is the product stored, it is stored in a store location, or it's at a stock is managed at store location level. But does store location disappear as soon as we activate WM or EWM? No, it doesn't disappear. The store location stays there, and we assign a warehouse. Now the products get stored into the warehouse. Okay, store location. So you can see a warehouse, you can see bins, you can see products stored in a bin, but you don't see anywhere store location, right? So in an IAM solution, the entire building where you're storing, the entire complex is a store location, right? But now when it comes to warehouse, the entire building complex is a warehouse. Store location, we don't see any physical store location. It becomes a virtual org element, okay? Because the storage is done at a warehouse level. So we have warehouses, okay, and the store location concept still remains, because within the warehouse you can also split stock based on store location. For example, take this example. This plant has two store location. You may want both. Let's say SLO1 is a finished product, is a raw material store location. SLO2 is a finished product store location. You can have both of them into the same warehouse, and then within the warehouse also you should be able to identify stock of each store location separately, or you can store it in a separate warehouse. So for example, store location SLO2 of finished product warehouse, finished product store location, we assign a warehouse W02 separate warehouse, which we may be an external facility a few miles away, or the own company's facility which is a few miles away, because of the space constraint, you're using a different warehouse. Okay, so basically in technically in system, plant and store location combination, one combination of plant and store location is assigned to a warehouse. Okay, so you cannot assign one plant store location combination to more than one warehouse. Okay, it's a unique assignment to a plant store location. So one store location plant combination can only be assigned to one warehouse. You cannot assign plant SL plant PL01 SL01 to W02 if it is assigned to W01. Okay, then you can assign a warehouse, okay, to a plant store location combination, to a different plant store location combination belonging to the same company code. Okay, so here plant PL01 PL02 store locations are assigned to a warehouse W02. Okay, it's not that warehouse should only be assigned to same plant. You can also assign warehouses to a different plant store locations. Okay, so physically we take an example, the external warehouse where we are storing the parts, or overflow warehouse where we are storing finished products of PLO1, that is basically warehouse which belongs to plant PLO2 where they are storing raw materials, okay, and finished goods and whatever. Okay, so warehouses can be shared between different plants of the same company code. Okay, now we can also have warehouses shared between plant store location belonging to different company code as well. Isn't it logical? Because you have a warehouse in a region, a distribution center. There you can store, let's say a company have two products. If we talk about home appliances, a unit makes, one unit of the company makes refrigerator, the other makes microwave. In your distribution center you would want to store both, right? Because they are eventually different companies, but they belong to the same client. They belong to the same customer. Okay, so a warehouse can be used to store products of different companies as well, different company codes as well. So we can also extend further and have a company. You can also think of a company like a DHL, or there is another company in UK, Synchron. They have their own warehouses. They just have warehouses, and they rent their warehouses and their warehousing facility. So they possibly a DHL in the same warehouse, it can store product for Tesco. It can store product for Asta. Yeah. So so these kind of warehouses, can also we'll talk about them in our deployment option. You can also have these kind of warehouses where they are storing parts for different customer as well. So warehouses, basically, it is possible to store products, same ERP, different ERP, same customer, different customer, same company or different company code. All possible combinations are possible in one warehouse. You can store and map products for different customers. Okay, so here to start with, we will basically have one plant. Okay, one few store locations in the plant, and we'll create one warehouse. Then, as in when we build scenarios, we'll create more plants, more store location, learn about STOs and different types of scenarios. But to start with, keep it simple. We will create our own plant, store location, warehouse, and then we will first go through the entire setup in that warehouse for one plant, and then we'll see how we can also expand it to another plant or plants of another company code. Okay, so any questions on this slide? It is straightforward. Are we clear so far?
Yeah, Rohit, this is look fine. Just for my understanding, I have seen in EWM, like whatever there are two, mostly they do two storage location, RFS and AFS, right? So these two storage location are being created, but it is not mandatory to have two storage location. I can have one storage location, and I can receive, and as well as I can sell from the same storage location.
Yeah, that's correct. You can have one store location as well.
But then why it is why SAP is being like look like it's a best practice to have two storage location, one for receiving on a dock and one for sale? Is there any?
We will discuss that in availability group. What is the benefit? It helps us in planning in MRP, because your stock is not available the moment you do good receipt. So we have to, we'll discuss that. It is recommended from a planning perspective.
Okay.
Okay. No question. Shall we move on to the next slide?
You can Shiva here.
Yes, Shiva.
I have one question here. See, actually, for example, we take STO process. See, in STO, actually, we have one scenario like virtual plant. Actually, see, for example, we are delivering the product from one plant to another plant. For example, we are delivering the product from Australia to New Zealand. We create a virtual plant at Singapore due to taxation purpose. We create a plant in Singapore, and but systemized product goods deliver from Australia to Singapore and Singapore to New Zealand. But physically, the product move from Australia to New Zealand. Such type of scenario is applicable for EWM.
See, EWM is about managing your stock. So where do you have EWM? You'll not have EWM at Singapore's virtual plant. You have EWM at Australia, where you do pick, pack, goods issue, and then you when you receive in New Zealand, you'll have a warehouse there where you receive the parts and to the good receipt put away. So EWM is about receiving the part. The whole planning, the whole logistics planning is done by the shipping or the transportation team. They will have to create a delivery. The delivery has to be created from Australia to Singapore, Singapore to New Zealand. So the deliveries have to be created, but but your products will move from here there to here. You have to do a virtual GR also in Singapore and a goods issue. So Singapore will not have a store location. Sorry, will not have a store location assigned to warehouse. So these kind of scenarios, generally you don't have it's a cross docking, but you don't use cross docking. I would say if Singapore would have been a EWM managed, then it becomes a classic cross docking, but in this case it's not a cross docking scenario.
Okay. Okay.
So Singapore, you have to through the shipment or the transportation, you have to through your routes, you have to plan this outbound, inbound, and then you have to do some automation, or somebody has to manually do the receipt and goods issue at Singapore.
So Rohan, this is very quite a common scenario, like people do. But here the question is, what about the pallet number traceability? Will it get lost? Like in this case scenario, whatever we did we did the GR in Singapore, and then from Singapore we again make another STO and push it to intra-company and push it to the Australia. Now what happened? The pallet which moved from there, so either because system will not have that, right? Or
System will have that. See,
will
you
have that.
can, yes. See, we basically in STO we use SPED. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you split,
that's right.
will transfer all your handling units from Australia to Singapore, Singapore to.
Okay. It will come in the inbound delivery. Okay, got you. Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Okay. Then.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have discussed these points. I'll come to what we are going to set up to start with. We are going to have a warehouse. Okay. Now, here you can see there are two warehouses. Okay. One warehouse is ERP warehouse. One is EWM warehouse. Physically, there is just one warehouse, but in EWM, the same warehouse has a 4-character code. In ERP, so when I say ERP, it means, ECC. Okay, now in S4 HANA, we have ECC as well as in EWM in the same system. So it is still early stage. So maybe, SAP would make it one. Just change ERP side, ECC side, the warehouse into 4 characters, but they haven't done it yet. So all the deliveries and other places, the warehouse is of 3 characters wherever you see warehouse. So basically that 3-character warehouse represents your EWM 4-character warehouse. It's created in EWM as 4 character. They're assigned, they are mapped to each other. So when you say W01, it basically means EWM warehouse of WH01.
You
So
can, sorry to interrupt. I have one question here. But the decentralized EWM and S4 HANA EWM, both the topics you are going to cover, right? But even though there's minor changes between the decentralized and S4, you are going to cover all the topics, right, in this session?
yes, not this session, but in training.
Entire training. Sorry, entire training.
Yeah, we will be executing decentralized scenarios as well.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, so we are going to use. So what org structure elements we are going to use? We are going to do that listing shortly. Okay, but we will be creating our plant. I'll be telling you which company code to use. So basically, I would recommend to use company code 1000 or whatever is a company code in the test system, so that you don't have to do all the finance settings. The company code which I'm going to propose you to use, that will be supported by our finance team. So if there are any issues, they will sort it out. Plus period end closing, everything, maintenance activity of that company code, periodic maintenance activity, the finance team does it. So it's an active company code, and it's well supported. So I recommend you to use the company code which I'm going to share with you, so that you spend less time in troubleshooting, finance related errors. Okay. So company code, we are going to use the one which is given to us by our finance team. In that company code, we'll have a plant. We are going to create our own plant. We'll copy an existing plant. Again, which plant to copy from? Standard SAP template plant. I'll let you know which one to copy. And then we are going to have 4 storage locations, or rather 5. So basically, for testing all the scenario, For the warehouse that we are going to implement, we have to take 5 storage locations. So ROD stands for receiving on dock. Okay. AFS stands for available for sale. I'll quickly go through the layout and explain these storage locations to you. Yeah. Production as a separate storage location, finished product as separate storage location, and I've created a storage location which is IM managed. This is for the consumable and office supplies. Okay. So
This is we are talking the best practice from SAP point of view, right? That's for the recommendation.
no, this is the one. This scenario is sorry. This storage location, SAP will tell us, to do a ROD and AFS. This is for the scenarios that we are going to cover. For those scenarios, we will use these two locations.
So Ron, please add on the flavor of your experience in your last 10 years, the implementation, what you have done. Okay.
That's added. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, yes.
So SAP will only tell you 1000 to 2000. I'm adding most to your location. I'll come to the reasoning for each of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not best practice. Okay. Oh God, I don't know why it's not going. So let me go to a layout and explain you why so many story locations. Yes, so here you can see. So basically I'll split this layout into the story location. So whenever we are getting any stock, okay, they are in this area. This is called as ROD, receiving on dock. Okay. Once we do the put away, the story location is AFS. So what is AFS story location? This is AFS. Okay, available for sale. We have a separate story location for production, prod. Okay, another story location for finished products. The finished products are stored here. So basically, when we do the warehouse processes, the products are moving. ERP should be updated with store location information as well. So the moment I supply parts to production, the store location of that part changes from AFS to prod. Okay. Now once we see, basically once you implement a project, you have to be very clear with the store location definition. So once we implement the project, there is this change, bringing this change becomes very difficult after a warehouse has gone live, because warehouse is continuous, they work 24/7. Any change becomes a really big change, or has a lot of prerequisite, a lot of planning and a lot of struggle, plus business is also impacted. Okay, so some of the warehouses they don't even give you downtime, because time lost can never be regained, for them, because they work 24/7. So basically we have to be very clear when we map these storage locations. The reason SAP recommends ROD AFS, why we are having two storage location when we are receiving the parts. We do the GR here. Okay, we may do a repacking of the parts in the deconsolidation area. We may be doing the quality. Before that, we may be unloading the stock from the trailers. So basically, the good receipt is done at this stage. When the truck comes, you scan the pallet, you do the good receipt, and then you take the pallet to a GR area. From there, it can go to quality, deconsolidation, or it can directly go to the warehouse bins. So here, the stock can be kept into GR area for several hours. In some companies, a couple of days as well. Okay, so the moment you do a GR, the stock in ERP gets updated in a storage location. Now, if I do GR in ROD, the stock is not available. When the production needs the material, they are only going to check in AFS, something which they can pick. They cannot pick a part which is at the door, or we don't want them to pick a part at the door or in the GR area or being deconsolidated or under quality. So that's why, only when we place the part into the bin, this I'm telling you for a bigger warehouse. If it's a very small warehouse, you just do a GR and put away in 5 minutes. You don't need this kind of a setup. But if you're doing unloading, there are 10 doors here, 20 staging areas, really big warehouse, and it takes time for them to come to the bin. The production, when they need a material, they should not come across a situation that the stock is not there in the bin. They'll simply say, why the delivery was created, why the staging request was created. Okay, so if the part is not here, when the production order is released, it should show as a missing part. Okay, only when we do the put away, it should be shown as available. So this is the reason for having two store location on the receiving side. We are having another store location for production. Why? Because some companies at a production level, they would like to track the work in progress inventory. Okay, so during your workshop, make sure the business is aware, okay, how this store locations are mapped. You can have different store location. Explain them the traceability part, because all your IM reports are at store location level. So if they are already using some IM reports, for example, um, they want to see, it's very easy to check stock at a store location level, total value of inventory at a store location level. But when it comes to warehouse, then they have to do some download of stock, accumulated, and download stock of production area, storage type, accumulated, then do a VLOOKUP at your finance table and come at a value. So there are some manufacturing units which are more interested, like what is the total WIP inventory. The work in progress inventory is also in some companies it is also showed in their balance sheet. So they are get audited by the companies as well. So the companies which is production heavy, they will ask you for this. If not, just make sure they are aware that you can have a separate store location for production as well. Then we have having separate store location production. So we, for availability check for outbound, we always store finished products here just to exclude our search into other store location. We have just kept one store location for finished product. Okay, you can, it's not mandatory, you can also keep it as same as AFS. You can give the same AFS, but there's no special requirement. Just for traceability purpose, if somebody wants to track all the finished product and their IM reports, then we know we have a separate store location where you can get all the finished product stock. It basically helps on the IM reporting. I go to store location 4000 and I get everything.
Yeah. Just only the disadvantage, I think, that data maintenance activity, the housekeeping activity, bit more. Like all material need to extend it to all storage location, as well as the bill of material should be, the consumption should happen from storage location 3000.
Consumption will happen from 3000.
Yeah, because,
yeah. So this has to be well thought and well agreed at the start of the project, because later on bringing this change will have a lot of impact on master data, transactional data, old documents, work in progress documents. So we need to be clear exactly how this has to work. Okay.
Yogan, I have one question here.
Yes.
See, if you talk about this master data level, see, actually, many of the business scenarios handling the GMAD and LMAD master data, actually, that is a customs. But how the business scenarios are handling the GMAD master data from ERP to EWM? Whether any separate logic available for GMAD creates and change for product at EWM, from ERP through BADI or how it is?
GMID, I didn't get your
A global GMID is a global material number. So actually, some of the specific business actually they want global. Yes, LMID is our SAP material number. But GMID is a global material number which can use in a globally.
Okay.
That is a custom Mara table. In Mara actually we have custom table, custom field. Actually we maintain the GMID against LMID. LMID is the SAP local material number.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to do the same. See, basically the EWM, the material is same.
Okay.
So when you create a material, if you have a custom field of GMID, okay. So now here probably you can use a different field, but here the challenge will be when you scan. Are you going to scan the SAP ID or a GMID when you are
SAP
going to
SAP ID?
Yeah, then it's
No.
fine. EWM
Okay.
will still store your GMIDs, but you want
No,
to
no,
use
okay,
your
okay.
SMIDs.
Yeah, that I got your point. But see, when in WM level, when the material replicate from ERP to EWM, in EWM we consider a product, right? See, how will correlate between GMID and LMID in EWM?
See, if it is decentralized system, you also need to do the same custom field in product as well. If it is
Okay.
embedded, you can refer the same field in Metal Master because it's the same system. So you
Okay.
can use the same Metal Master Z field and you can refer that for your whatever custom process you have. But if it is a decentralized, then you have to send it across. You have to do some enhancement in your SIF and
SIF, yeah, we need to do enhancement SIF. Okay, got your point. And one more, this packing section and packing specifications. Actually, how handling in EWM? Actually, the same WM process or how it is?
No, it's different. We'll discuss that in master data.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Problem. So we have 5 more minutes. I will take a pause here. Okay, so we are going to create 4 story location plant. We'll do that tomorrow. Okay, and I think the first thing we'll do tomorrow is create our plant and store location and the 2 warehouse, ERP and EWM warehouse. We will spend some time tomorrow. We will first identify, for our batch, what is the data that we're going to set up. Okay, so we know what is the store location, but we put some naming convention for our batch. And just to add, since we're using S4HANA, you can also use Fiori. This is the Fiori link, and you can also, these are the Fiori apps that we are going to use for EWM. So if you want to add them to your Fiori homepage, you can do them as part of your preparatory activity while you're getting ready for the scenarios. Okay.
So when you are running the session, can we do that, Rohan? It's more about practice, right? Getting yourself friendlier with this Fiori. So never worked on the Fiori. So that was, when you are creating STOs or purchase order, outbound delivery, if we just request, if we possible, it's more getting practice to the stream, familiar.
Yeah, we will go through the Fiori as well. Yeah. So we have all the apps listed. For me, it's already added, but you have to do it for your own user ID. I'm saying you have to go to login to Fiori and search these apps and add them as favorites so that you don't have to all the time search them.
So it is not possible something the basis team can support us initially. We don't want to go on a struggle, once we have the setup, that will be the next step to look up.
Your basis team will give you all the access. You will find them.
Okay.
But I'll explain you when we go to the Fiori. I'm just saying for ease of, so you have all these basically we create a group in Fiori group where you have all the apps, commonly used app at one place. My recommendation here was to take these apps, because these are the apps you're going to use for EWM, keep them separate. But you have all the access there. You'll have a EWM group where you'll have all the apps of EWM, all the apps of MMs. So leave that to me. I'll show you, and then you can start setting it up for yourself. Okay, all right.
Yogan, one more question here. Sorry to interrupt. See, actually, this batch management and split delivery split. Actually, this topic you are going to cover, right? Full batch management topics you are going to cover, right?
Yes, yes. We'll be covering batch management, delivery split, everything.
So this batch characteristic, when we do the GR, just it's not. I think so. That batch characteristic, do we capture that on the EWM side, or it is right now like in ECC when I do the GR in Vigo, right? I can capture the batch characteristic values, maybe country of origin or temperature, or So when we do it in EWM, I know that we perform the good receipt on scanner, so still we can capture that, right, over there.
No, standard EWM does not have that option.
Okay.
When you create a delivery, it is expected when you get an ASN from your vendors, it should have all the batch characteristics and batch number should be there. But if you want, you will have to customize.
No, I'm referring to the classification system, like the batch class.
Yes. So batch class is there, but when you create a batch, you need these values, right? The characteristics value.
Yes.
So the batch, so it basically during the batch creation, it gets captured. So the batch creation, the standard SAP recommendation is do it as part of a delivery creation. When you create a delivery.
Okay, not at the time of GR.
Not at the time of the GR.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yogan, one more question here. Actually, the classification data is master data, right? How it will happen when the time of goods receipt?
No, see, each batch has its own, its own characteristic values. For example, you get a batch with country of origin is Germany. So when you do the receipt, you need to tell it's German originated batch.
Okay, but the characteristics all configured in master data level, right?
Yeah, that is already configured.
Okay.
You'll have a batch class, material will be extended to the class.
Okay.
So based on that class, it will be asked.
Okay. Okay. See, when we do goods receipt, we have to enter the country of origin. Based on that, system plus the data from master data, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can actually when we are planning to start session, do you have any idea?
Planning to start session. So this was our first session.
Okay.
We are going to continue having sessions from tomorrow onwards.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
So this batch is especially for
Nancy told us a demo session. That is the reason.
Actually, this batch is especially for guys from UK because this time suits them. But yeah, we are also trying to group people from India. Most of our students are from US, but this time will not suit them. So we are also trying to see if anyone from India can join this batch who are waiting for a batch to start.
And Johan, when would be the access for the system will be processed? Because we haven't, Chris mentioned that you will guide us through.
So basically, you have to raise a request. Okay. We'll let you know. Tomorrow I'll ask someone from the coordination team. There is a process to raise a request. So once you raise a request, then you get it within a day, but not pretty sure so just let Chris know, that you want to initiate your system access. Okay,
Oh,
so
he directed me. Already asked that. He directed me to you. I
okay,
can check with him.
do one thing, put it on the discussion board.
Yeah, but I haven't got access to LMS. Okay, I'll try
Okay.
to sort out with Grace and
Yeah, put it on the discussion board. So please initiate my server access. Then I will
sure,
take it up with them. Yeah.
sure, sure. Bridge sir, I don't know if you got access, if your access is working, but yeah, if you can do that.
I'll check.
Sure, thank you. Yeah. Perfect. It's about time.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Then
Yes.
let's connect tomorrow. Then we'll continue with our
Yeah.
further discussions. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Jan.
Yeah,
And,
Logan,
and
thanks a
we'll
lot.
get a invitation with the same link. Sorry, just the last question.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.